This is a Mazda 3. On the face of it, a pretty normal hatchback, but depending on what you're after from a car, it's either fantastic or slightly flawed. Stick around and I'll explain what I mean in more detail. Small cars might not be the sales force they once were, but plenty of people are still in the market for one. So should they buy a Mazda 3? This is the Mazda3 G25 Evolve SP, which is basically the cheapest way to get into a 3 with the bigger 2.5 litre engine. It starts at $32,110 before on-road costs, so it goes up against the likes of the Hyundai i30 N-Line, Kia Sorento Sport Plus and Toyota Corolla ZR. With the current generation of 3, Mazda really swung the pendulum in the direction of design. Now that's come with some compromises, which I'll get to later, but I think most people would agree that this is a pretty good looking hatch. Mazda does really nice paintwork too. Now this being the SP model, you get a black grille, wheels and mirrors, but the daytime running lights are halogen, not LED, and you don't get heated mirrors at this price point either. As mentioned earlier, this is the cheapest way to get into a Mazda 3 with the larger 2.5 litre 4-cylinder engine. It produces 139 kilowatts and 252 newton meters, and claimed combined fuel consumption is 6.3 litres per 100 Ks. It can run on 91 fuel too, which helps running costs. Mazda offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and servicing will cost you $1,762 over the first 5 visits. That's about in line with its competitors. Some are more, some are less, but keep in mind the 10,000 kilometre service intervals will come and go quite quickly if you do plenty of driving. So here we get to the first unusual feature about this Mazda 3, this waggly lever in the centre console. Mazda still offers a manual on all variants of the 3 bar the flagship X20 Estina, and selecting it will save you $1,000 and it's also a little bit more fuel efficient. One area that the 3 really stands out is its material quality. Often you'll get in the high-end version of a hatchback and there are plenty of clues that it's based on a much cheaper model, but it's kind of the other way around in here. This isn't a particularly expensive car, but I've got softly padded leather everywhere with contrast stitching, squishy dash, leather steering wheel. The seats are cloth, but the driver's is at least electrically adjustable. But 2 negatives really stand out here. First is it's very dark in here. Not the end of the world, but everything is kind of dark grey and black. Secondly, this is still a very new car, but this piano black here is already showing plenty of marks and scratches. It's not going to age particularly well. There is plenty of kit, however. Keyless entry and start, dual zone climate control, head-up display, 1-touch power windows all round, and a semi-digital dash. I really like Mazda's digital instruments. At first glance, it looks completely analog, nice and clear and easy to read. But the centre speedo being digital means it can do clever things like mark the current speed limit in red, and if you stray beyond it, there'll be a red line linking back to the appropriate speed. Likewise, in the head-up display, if there's a car in your blind spot, there'll be a little icon. Small things, but all signs that someone's thought about how to make life easier. The native infotainment works pretty well, but at first it can feel a bit clumsy when using smartphone mirroring. In the native touchscreens, using a rotary dial feels a bit outdated, especially as the selector doesn't always go where you want it to. The experience improves, however, if you use these shortcut buttons, which go to the nav, the audio or home, even when you are using smartphone mirroring, to make it a lot easier to navigate around. Everything is included too, and there's an 8-speaker stereo for the tunes. A basic reversing camera and rear sensors are standard, but option the $1,500 Vision package, only available on the auto, and you score front sensors, a 360-degree camera and more. Mazda hasn't skimped on the safety features though, with ticks across the board and a 5-star NCAP rating. But the manual doesn't have the stop and go function for the active cruise control because it needs you to operate the clutch. The amount of space here in the back is actually pretty good. I've got a decent amount of room in every direction and I'm nice and comfy, but it's here you start to pay a price for that exterior styling. The window aperture is very small, so you don't get much light in and it's going to be hard for kids to see out, while the shape of the door opening means you really have to stoop your head so you don't knock your head getting in and out. There are ISOFIX points on the outboard seats, air vents and a fold-down centre armrest, but no USB charging points of any kind. Boot space is okay. There's a reasonable amount of room here and the rear seats fold 60-40, but the Kia Sorento, Hyundai i30 and Volkswagen Golf all have much larger spaces than this. In fact, a number of cars in the class below, such as the Kia Rio and Volkswagen Polo, have bigger boots than the Mazda 3. So at this point, what we have is a car with two sides to its personality. It's stylish and feels quite premium, but that does come with some compromises, and this dichotomy continues from behind the wheel. Just as Mazda decided to give styling precedence over practicality, so too it prioritised speed over comfort. Now, that's a bit of an exaggeration, to be honest. Don't think this is some super focused track car or anything, but nor is it a car you just drive around with the minimum of fuss. Even discounting the manual gearbox, the steering's got some weight to it. The ride is generally comfortable, but you do feel quite a lot of the road surface. The brake pedal is firm, and you've got to rev the engine to get the best out of it. None of these things are criticisms, possibly the opposite, but you do need to put some effort into driving the 3. One area the latest 3 has really improved upon its predecessors is road noise. This has long been an Achilles heel of the 3, but no longer does it have to suffer with very poor refinement. Again, you do pay a price for that exterior styling though, with the big C-pillars creating massive blind spots in your rear 3/4. Now let's quickly talk gearbox. Obviously, the vast majority of buyers are going to choose the auto, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mazda does a great automatic, but it also does a really good manual. Now, if you spend most of your time in traffic, I'm not going to try and tell you it's the one to have, but you do forget how much a manual gearbox makes you focus on the task at hand. It's a really nice shift and very well matched to the engine. So what of this dichotomy that I spoke of earlier? Well, Mazda asked for a little extra effort in daily driving, but the payback is a car that's wonderfully rewarding when you drive it in a spirited manner. It's crystal clear that the chassis development team for the latest Mazda 3 really like driving. Let's go through it bit by bit. The engine that needs a few revs to give its best in daily use now rewards you for stretching it out. It sounds pretty good, and while it's not that quick, that's also not really a bad thing. You can use all the performance it does have without worrying about your license in the way you might in even a Hyundai i30N, for instance. That said, the tacho does suggest a 6,500 RPM redline, but the limiter chimes in early at 6,200. The throttle and brakes that do require more energy than they could now provide reassuring weight. The steering actually feels connected to something, and when you jump on the brakes, the pedal is right there, giving you real confidence. Best of all, the chassis that can be a bit terse on crappy surfaces now wants to eat corners. It's got poise and balance, and it's not fazed by mid-corner bumps, and you can adjust the car subtly in the bends. Put simply, it's great fun. Driving this car puts a big smile on your face. Whether the Mazda 3 is a good buy or not depends a lot on how you're going to use it. That's true of every car really, but the 3 more than most. If you need something super practical for the daily grind, something to carry the kids in the shopping, then maybe the 3 isn't for you. But if you don't need lots of space, if you're the sort of person who might get up on the weekend and go for a drive for the hell of it, then the 3 has a lot to offer. Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this review, give it a like, subscribe to the Car Sales channel, and leave a comment down below with the cars you'd like to see us review.